Hello, how are you?
Hi there. I'm well. How are you, Ben?
I'm fantastic, thank you so much. I promise not to go on about the heat too much, but I'm feeling it. But other than that, I'm very well. You'll see me taking very reserved, small sips of water,
Water.
so
Always a good
it
idea.
makes yeah right, so I can keep it for 45 minutes. Otherwise, my God.
If you
Anyway,
if you end up needing, I don't know, to like run around your house or not run, walk, crawl to a fan, bring it closer.
look,
Please feel
I've
free to
got
do that.
I've got this fan right behind me. It's kind of blowing
Oh, right at
air
the
onto
back
my
at the nape of
back.
your neck. Yeah.
Right, which is why I have my head up rather than like
Yeah.
down.
Well, you don't want to get the billowy effect here,
Yeah, I mean, when I have it from the front, so it blows in the breeze, you
Good.
know.
That's what we're
Yeah,
looking for.
I like to go for the shampoo style advert kind of look, you know, because
Yeah.
I'm worth it, all that kind of stuff. I'm
Yes.
not sure that still exists anymore.
What is it? What is that? What?
Oh, I'm old. That's from like probably from the '90s when Jennifer
Was that
Aniston was doing.
Revlon, or I'm trying to remember because I don't remember what brand it belongs to though, because I'm like oh, maybe she's worth it, maybe it's Maybelline is that one, but oh, now it's gonna be stuck in my
That's
head.
maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't.
I don't
It's a
remember.
sign of a really quite a failed advert when you remember the tagline but not the product.
But not the product. The Maybelline one, it's in there, so you really can't miss that one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. It
Whoever the
reminds me
marketing
of this.
team is.
Right. There's this episode of
Yeah.
The Office. I'm not sure if you've seen it. There's this one of the characters can't remember the Kit Kat, and he's like, break me off a piece of that something something.
Yes. Some
Which is funny because that advert didn't exist in the UK. We've never had to just break me off a piece of that Kit Kat
Kit
bar.
Kat
It was like,
bar.
yeah, I don't
Break
know.
you off a
And
piece of that something really would have fit the bill really
it
well.
would have
Right?
been fantastic. Break me off a piece of that whatever something or other. Yeah. Oh man, I love the intros to these things. They're so random. Um, anyway, this is the best.
Whatever you want it to be.
I know, right? There's so much control and power. Let's just talk about anything. Do you want to do like a quick intro about yourself, and we can take it from there? That'd be cool about who you are
Sure.
and what you do, that kind of
I'm gonna turn my light down ever so slightly so I don't blind myself. I've got a strip light right in front of my face and it points directly at me. It's very bright. Okay, I think that's slightly better.
stuff.
Hi everyone. My name is Azure McFarlane. What do I do for an intro? What do you want me to say?
Oh, like what do you do?
What
Like
I do?
like
I'm an
what do
underwater
you?
basket weaver. No.
Right, exactly. Long walks on the beach, this sort of
Long
thing, you
walks
know.
on the beach. Yes. So Azure, yes, I share a name with the cloud. I work as a consultant for HSO, which is Hardware Software Organization, based out of the United States. Well, companies based out of Netherlands. I'm United States branch, and I work in Power Platform. And so I've been here for about 6 months. And previously, I worked in pharmaceuticals, and I think that's
Cool.
kind of it. I'm a Microsoft
That's pretty good.
MVP in BizApps, and
Wow.
yeah.
Check you out. Very impressive stuff. And I would say also probably owner of the most iconic headphones in the kind
Oh,
of, I
thank
mean,
you.
they
Thank
are
you.
pretty cool, I gotta say.
I
Pretty
they
cool.
didn't have the ones with the cat ears, or else I would have gotten those. But that's okay. They were sold out. I was desperate. I just needed a pair of headphones that I could game with, and then also use on my computer. So
Yeah, that's
you're
fair. Yeah.
welcome. I think they're Razer brand, Razer, if
Okay.
anybody
Yeah.
cares. But yeah,
Pretty
they've
nice.
treated me well. So thank you.
What gaming do you do? I'm curious now.
Oh, I haven't really gamed in a while,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
I do some Red Dead and Civ.
Hmm.
Yeah, I miss playing.
Nice.
I should call some friends
Yeah.
and do that at some point. I used to do like League of Legends a little bit and some Overwatch on PC.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, these days not so much. Should.
I miss being a gamer. Gotta say it was great.
Okay, so our
I
goal is to resume being gamers,
Yeah,
or
that's just my life ambition, really, in general. Let's just,
okay,
just go back to being a gamer.
okay.
It was
What do you play?
a bit of GTA 5 as well. I preferred like racing games. I really enjoyed. What did I play? It's been so long. I played on the Xbox. What the hell was that racing game called again? It's driving me crazy.
See, marketing team again. Failure.
I think this is just my aging memory, to be honest, and the heat's just melting my brain. There's like, because when I had Xbox, I used to play Gran Turismo, which was awesome. I love Gran Turismo. It was like one of my favorite games. Anything racing involved,
Hmm.
or anything online shooter, to be honest, but it has to be online shooter because if it's just like story mode, I get immediately bored and even worse, immediately lost. I'm like, where is anything? I've been through this door like 25 times,
So
which is
you need other people to help corral you to go to the right place.
just like hide behind.
Just that's like me. I didn't say I was great at gaming, so a lot of times like I'm gonna ride along in this
Yeah,
chase because if you let me drive, we're gonna crash more than
that's
likely. I
basically
think
it. Yeah,
this speaks to me needing to just play more. Really, that's it. All of our problems will be solved if we just continue to game. We won't forget
yeah,
names. We'll get better at driving. We can hide
good
behind
point.
people.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, it was always the indignity of being like owned all the time by. I mean, I don't mind the fact they were 14 because they got like, oh, people are, oh, yeah, these 14-year-olds. It's like, yeah, of course they, because they get the game and they have to do nothing in their lives other than go to school and game. That's it. You know what I mean? It's
You
amazing. So
have a
jealous.
really good point. Adulthood is a scam. That's what I'm convinced. It is just a
Right,
scam.
right. And now I'm sitting here talking about how I want to play games more often, but at the same time, because I'm a massive hypocrite, I'm telling my kids they can't
They
play
can't.
very often. No,
It's jealousy. It's
it's
projection. That's all it is.
100% jealousy. 100% jealousy. But at the same time, when I play Mario Kart with them, I refuse to let them win. I'm not letting them win. You know what? I've been playing Mario Kart since I was like 10 years old. It's like the only skill set that I've had for like almost 30 years now. Am I going to pretend that it doesn't exist? No, I'm going to completely kick your ass.
I
Listen,
no, I think that's fair. You're going to
yeah.
continue to use that skill set.
And
So
it teaches them that there's no shame in finishing second, right?
I like your
Because
parenting style.
maybe just like, selfishness. But okay, I'll take that, yeah.
We're gonna call it modern parenting.
Yeah, fantastic. Love it.
I'm
Modern
still
parenting.
gonna win. I'm coming in first.
Yeah, absolutely. That
I don't
TV
have
show, I
kids,
can't even
so
destroy
I
you.
don't think you should. I don't know if you should actually listen to me, but I'm supportive.
I would consider that like secondary information. The most important
Mm,
information is that you
that
support
I
me and
agree
agree
with
with me.
you
Yeah,
first,
exactly. Just
and
agree.
then hey,
You don't have kids. It doesn't matter. You're still entitled to an opinion, and you're more entitled to it. You know why? Because it's the same as mine. This is just how it works. You know.
I think I think that's appropriate. Anybody in the YouTube chat can just press F for the children. So
Oh, I love it. Oh my god. Anyway, moving away from gaming, I'll probably get back to gaming at some point. It's probably actually this is probably a good point actually by Bennett. It's just the first generation that the parents also play video games. It's a good
that's
point, you know.
true.
That's a really good point.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have
And
to
I,
eat. Look, Ben, you don't have to grow up. Like this is just continue doing the same things that you were doing.
mm,
Um, my boyfriend was like, I was raised on Halo. I was like, what millennial man at this point was not raised on Halo? And look, you turned out just fine. So, including this in your parenting and then teaching the kids, A plus.
I tell I tell you one thing though. The most concerning moment I ever had when I was gaming, like when I was in my mid 20s, I spent a lot of time, right? Not a lot of time, maybe like 6 months, where I was gaming, like pretty much that's all I was doing. Because I was like between things, as we'll say. Anyway, the point was I'd been playing, I don't know, whatever it was back then, Call of Duty, whatever. And because I'm not very good, sometimes I'll just, I'll just snipe because I want to kill people and then not die. And I know everyone hates snipes. I know, I get it, whatever. But I was doing it. So anyway, the point is I was doing it for a long time. And this is, I don't know why I'm admitting this is pretty shameful. I was doing it for a long time. And at one point I thought, okay, enough. I've got to move and do something today. So I got off my sofa, went and have a shower. And the apartment that I was living in back then, the shower was kind of like have had the window open. You could hear people talking quite easily on the street. And I was showering, washing my hair, whatever stuff that you do. And I heard someone on the street, and I was on the third floor. Heard someone on the street talking. My first instinct, and this is really terrifying. My first instinct was to grab my sniper rifle before they shot me.
Okay, does Call of Duty even have showers?
No, it was just it was so weird. It was like I'd been playing for so long, and it was in such this mindset. I was like, yeah, I gotta go. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that doesn't exist
Yeah, I
here.
was like,
Don't
you
exist in the
you
game.
were you were in the game.
I was so amazed.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab my sniper rifle because I'm in the shower and I heard somebody talking.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
very disconcerting. Anyway, we'll probably take that moment to move on from computer games and my clear problems, right? And yeah,
Everybody, the moral of the story is just don't play all day. Like, give yourself an hour and then hop in the shower, and then maybe you won't mistake your neighbors for Call of Duty
people who are trying
characters.
to murder you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love the cloud conversations that you do. By the way,
Oh, thank
um,
you.
they're really cool. I mean, that kind of this. Obviously, I enjoy this conversational style that you do. So it's a nice thing to watch, and I really like the topics that you cover, which is very varied and stuff. How long have you been doing those?
Oh, I joined the team, I think in January. So it used to be, so for reference, I co-host a podcast called Cloud Conversations. And it's with Peter Rising, Rue Campbell, and Kat Greenan. So I'm the only Eastern person. Everybody else is based out of Europe. The team used to originally be just Peter and Rue, and then late last year, early this year, they're looking to expand the team. So they asked me and Kat to join. And so Rue and Pete are more IT, Microsoft Purview folks.
Okay.
And then Kat does Teams, and then I'm in Power Platform. So it was just a nice way to bring in some more like tech diversity in there. And then
Cool.
also just some more variety in terms of hosts. So I know because
Mm.
I understand that doing something on your own and on a very frequent basis can be a lot. So the guys were like, this gives us also the opportunity to kind of spread things out and bring some more people from, other parts of the Microsoft ecosystem that maybe wouldn't have contact with. But very conversational podcast. I thoroughly enjoy the podcasts that are very conversational, just because they're easy to listen to. It sounds
Yeah.
like you're dropping in on a conversation between friends, and so I gravitate towards those myself.
Yeah, and they are, and it tends to be for me if there's a technical podcast or vodcast or whatever you want to call them, I don't know. If it's on at that time and I see it, I'll watch it, but I'll never watch it on like playback. But if it's conversational, then I will watch it on playback.
I agree.
Because I don't know why. Maybe it's clearly just a preference thing. Like, because if the technical information, if you're right there and then, okay, I get it, I'm consuming it, or I can just in the future just Google it rather than watching it again. But I don't know, it's something.
I feel like if I'm learning something, I feel like I have to be actively listening and maybe like participating, whether it's notes or Googling or something or other. And for us, we talk about tech things, but not enough in depth where you feel like you have to like write this down right now or learn it.
Exactly.
So we normally talk about what people do for their careers, and if it's things like studying for licensing, be like tips to help you prepare for that. But yeah, if it's any super technical, I know Peter does demos. He's been trying out something new and doing like demo videos for things that he's working on. So that might end up being like a more permanent addition. But yeah, in that case, I wouldn't expect anybody to just sit and listen to that because they wouldn't know what was going on.
It's hard, yeah. I mean, this is why for these I also do this like an audio only podcast as well, because it's also easier to watch or in that case listen to on the go.
That's too.
Do you think this might be an annoying question for you, because I'm sure you get it all the time? Do you think your name, because by the way, actually, I'm going to ask you. You have this video in your profile how to pronounce your name, right? And how to pronounce.
Yes.
I'm going to say Azure, right?
Yes, that's how I pronounce it. Yes.
Okay. I mean, as you say in the video, you or your mum actually named you, and we're not going to argue with either of you really. So that's its pronunciation. It's Azure.
That's it. That's it. Mama Cloud got the final say. So.
Right. I will tell my team, because it always confused me from day one that my team called it Asia, and I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, Asia. I'm like, I don't know. They're like, you don't know Asia? I'm like, well, I think I do, but I think we're having a problem. It was so confusing.
It's yes, so I was asked by Microsoft back in, I think it was 2020 or maybe it was last fall, I forget what year, to be in an ad about how to pronounce Azure or Azure, and it was, I think, the 11th anniversary of the cloud, and
Nice.
I end up sent like somebody reached out to me and they're like, I think you should also have a say in this, and I just did some off the cuff thing. But yes, Mama Cloud has the final say. My parents actually walked around the house. They were home or here visiting the weekend that the final compilation was like put together and sent to me. My dad's like, can I be called Papa Cloud? I'm like, you know what, I think that's appropriate, you can be Papa Cloud. But
What's
yes,
other than Mama Cloud and Papa Cloud?
Mama Cloud
Amazing.
and Papa Cloud. I'm Baby Cloud on Twitter, and I guess little clouds are my siblings. So since they're younger than me, but yes, it does cause confusion in the workplace, and even causes confusion for myself because I'm like, did I send that email? We're like from Azure, and I'm like, it was not me.
Or like automated emails and stuff coming through. It's like, you worked really hard yesterday.
It sometimes scares me because I'll see an email from Azure. I'm like, what did I do? And I'm like, oh, it's not me. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay. Still causes some sort of panic though every time.
I mean, for me, it would cause panic for me. I hate it when I hear someone say my name and I'm like, what? That must be like, but this is a really good point. Your name was native SEO. That is a very good point. I never thought about that.
I'm a walking ad. I still need to talk to somebody at Microsoft about this because it feels like they're kind of keeping me at an arm's length. I'm the original.
Exactly. I mean, either they change the name or they just pay you like monthly kind of rates for the use of what is clearly your name.
Yeah, I was going to make so I looked up the domain powered by Azure and it's not taken. And I was like, would Microsoft sue me for claiming that? It is my name. I don't know if I want to chance it though. They have more power than I do, that's for sure.
They might have access to slightly better lawyers. I don't want to judge, but I'm sure they're kind of legal up in that regard. I don't know.
Yeah. I think
but you could make so much money out of it. I mean, just get the domain and then make it your own. I'm sure. I mean, probably can't, but it would be cool if you could. I'm sure there was someone who like got the domain for something like 21st Century Fox instead of 20th Century Fox. So when it changed, it might have been one of these complete garbage stories, but it kind of sounded accurate at the time. And then, 22 years later, I'm still spouting it as like fact because I read it in some, crappy magazine in 1999.
You know what? There were a lot of things in 1999. Anything that you saw on the internet was absolute fact. I don't care if it was actually untrue. It's fact. So you're right.
Actually,
yeah, you're right. We didn't know any better.
I saw it on was it GeoCities or something? I saw it on the GeoCities website. Okay.
Yeah. R.I.P. GeoCities.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was a beautiful thing.
I feel like MySpace and GeoCities were where a lot of us ended up getting our tech start, and the youth will never know what that's like.
Yeah, it's true.
So easy.
We were there. We were there at the origins of it all.
There at the inception, and when they decided earlier this year that it just was time to live another life. I was actually pretty sad when I saw that. Yeah.
The thing I don't understand is how MySpace still exists. I mean, the website still lit.
Hold on, I gotta search. Hold on, this is not true.
Yeah, it's some garbage website with like news and like.
What? Oh, is this the same MySpace that? No, this can't be. Somebody just buy it?
I mean, it's got the same logo, right?
Is it?
Well, I'll drop the link for those who want to check out MySpace.
Yeah, I didn't.
I mean, GeoCities is dead. This is clear, but no idea what MySpace is trying to do. It's like I feel like they don't want to let the domain drop because someone else will clearly buy it immediately. I mean, it's like website folklore, right? I don't know, folklore is probably the wrong word, but legend. I'm not sure what you want to call it. I don't know. I'm forgetting words.
Yeah, that does not look like the MySpace that we know, where it would take so long to load your page because you had sparkles or music or whatever on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were the good days.
What was the name of that guy who had, it was always your friend or whatever, or your connection straight away. There was one person, like Tim or someone. If you
My
had, if you,
connection?
and like if you went to MySpace and you started your account, there was always one person who was like automatically everyone's friend.
Oh,
Do you know what I
ooh,
mean?
I don't remember. Oh, we're
Yeah,
gonna have to go down to MySpace. After the show. I'm gonna go down and complete MySpace rabbit hole because
yeah.
I'm gonna
I've
have
ruined
to,
your
and then
day, right?
I'll report back. I was looking for my profile one day. I'm trying to remember what it was, but very recently somebody mentioned something about remembering where their MySpace profile was, or having screenshots, or something still existed, and I don't even remember what my login name was for that, so I wouldn't even be able to like hunt it down. It was somewhere like in the archives of the internet. You could find your MySpace page, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't think it'll ever happen for me because I don't remember what it is.
Well, I'm sure it's in some kind of list that's been hacked and put on a CSV somewhere. So maybe just try and find that list, and then you can log back on, and you know
Okay,
we can
revive
restart
it.
the MySpace thing. I'm not sure.
Restart the MySpace there. I have to say, like with social media, like I'm active on Twitter,
Hmm.
but really in my personal accounts like Instagram or Facebook, I'm not really active at all. And
Hmm.
almost if I had the choice, I probably wouldn't be on it at all.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, it's a little strange for I don't know. It's very weird. I think because like Twitter for me is mostly like tech stuff, and then I like dick around
Yeah.
on the internet, and whatnot. And I don't know, everything else just I think
I
I'm like,
can.
oh, I like to peer into people's lives and be like, you're doing well, good job.
Yeah, yeah. It's very voyeuristic for sure. And I'm the same. It's like people that you knew years ago, and you still kind of like peek into their lives, a little bit voyeuristic, you know. I closed my Facebook like 2 years ago, and that was awesome. Instagram I have because I have family back in the UK, and don't want to see photographs of the kids, the standard
Yeah.
stuff. But with Twitter, I do love Twitter. Obviously, I use it pretty often. However, sometimes I convince myself, like I just said right now, that I really like Twitter. That's not actually true, because as soon as you like peek out of like your bubble, it's like, oh,
Yes.
this is all completely shit. That's right,
It's like,
exactly.
oh no, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go back over here to the cat videos.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's what's really nice about Twitter is that you can curate your
yeah,
feed to what you want,
yeah,
and follow the people that you want. Although I feel like in some ways, like the algorithm has changed for sure, and oh my god, normally don't do this. It's just like Instagram.
mm,
I'm not a fan of what they're like pushing reels a lot. And I was like, I want to see my friends' faces.
mm,
And although
yeah,
the videos are funny, I'm like, this isn't TikTok. And I think that's maybe where they're trying to go is like TikTok style.
yeah.
And I don't have a TikToky, so yeah.
I mean, I decided that. I mean, I didn't decide. I just realized, but then I thought I just made a rule as well that I'm TikTok is definitely something that I just feel too old for. I'm sorry. I might be wrong, but I'm like I can't be bothered with that. It's too much.
You know what? I love this part of adulthood, which is like, I don't have to care anymore. I don't have to keep up with the
Mm.
latest thing. I am leaning in to lying down. That's a line from a comedian that I really like. But yes,
Who
I'm
is it?
just
It's
not.
really good. I like that.
Oh,
Lean
well, now
in.
here we are. It's the
Like that.
memory thing again.
Oh yeah. I can't
Ooh,
remember
right.
any names when I'm
Wording.
doing these conversations. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, and I can see her face right now, and I can't rem Ali Wong. There we go. I think it was
Ali
Ali
Wong. Yeah,
Wong.
she's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
My
when she was
my guess was going to be Taylor Tomlinson because I've been watching a lot of her stuff
I
recently.
love her too.
Oh,
So good.
she's
If anybody
so
needs any comedy
funny.
sketches, please.
Yeah,
I actually like
yeah,
Taylor Tomlinson better than Ali Wong. I think
yeah.
Taylor
Me too.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But Ali Wong had this thing about she was joking about like feminism. Like I wanted to stay home. Like my husband is the stay-at-home spouse and takes care of the kids and I make all the money. And she's like, feminism like ruined it because I wanted to lean into lie down. And it always just cracks me up.
just a
Yeah.
very good line as well. Lean in to lie it down. It could be like a slow. It's true though. It's definitely there's a wonderful thing about that. I mean, I found that when I got to that age, when you're young, you're like, oh, it's about like music and the latest everything. You're like, oh, when I
Mhm.
get old, I'll keep trying. I'll make sure that I stay. And it's not the fact that you can't put in the effort; it's the fact that I don't want to
It
anymore.
feels like to me, it feels like way too much. I feel
Got to
like
pick and choose.
yeah, yeah. Like you want me to eat 2 to 3 square meals a day and keep my house relatively presentable and get sleep,
Yeah.
you can only pick, and then also keep up on like pop music and everything. I don't know. It
Yeah.
seems like a
Yeah.
lot. Seems
Yeah.
like a lot.
It often feels like our careers are getting in the way, right? It's like, oh, I've got to learn like
Yes.
tech stuff, and they release stuff more than once a year. That's a bit excessive, okay? It's monthly, right? It's like I've got to learn this, and then oh, someone posted this blog that looks interesting. I have to learn that because there's going to be, and then it's just this rabbit
Yeah.
hole of learning, and it is fun. I do enjoy learning all this cool tech stuff, and having a job and receiving money on a monthly basis comes in really helpful. But at the same time, like my family were just away for 2 weeks. My wife and my kids, they were in Italy, and so I was like home alone for 2 weeks, and I did a whole lot of nothing. Whole lot. It
I
was.
approve.
Thank
I
you.
approve. Yeah.
And I
Everybody
thought
needs that time.
everyone needs time to do nothing. Like, and when people say, "What did you get into?" I'm like, I'm proud to say I did nothing, and it was
I
awesome.
feel like that's really hard, especially when you do community things. It is very easy just to keep going and going and going. And I
Mm,
think for a while, because I got involved in Power Platform like end of
mm,
2019, and I was so excited about it that I spent my free time doing it too. Right, it wasn't actually part of my
mm,
job description at that time, and then now it's that. What's the difference between my job and my hobby? Because even when
mm,
I started, like consulting, doing independent consulting, whatnot, I was like, it's still just a hobby, because it
mm.
felt less like, I didn't want to be considered like a workaholic to an extent, but
I
it's
understand.
very
Yeah.
interesting. And even now, like now being fully in consulting, it's very easy to be like, this looks interesting, and I want to play with it. And it's like,
Mm,
but what's the difference between my hobby and my job now? Because
mm.
it will inevitably become helpful for my job.
Of
So for
course.
me, that like coming into this industry, there's a bit of a disconnect on like where's the balance, and
Mm,
I think for the
mm.
first, because I just hit 6 months, I think actually today. Um,
Congratulations. Very cool.
Thank you. And for the first several months, I was like, my time outside of work, I don't want to be doing anything Power Platform because I needed to recover from, like
Mm,
burnout anyway. But I also acknowledge it's like something feels like it's missing too because I'm not
mm.
seeking out the things and spending, my waking hours doing that too outside of, my job. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's having a job as your hobby. I mean, there are some wonderful things about it because I think I've said this before, I never really kind of dread Mondays. Like, Mondays. Well, I kind of like,
Mm,
okay, I'm going to work now. It's great. This is fine. So there are certainly lots of benefits to feeling that way, but there are also some huge drawbacks. And as you say, it's this really just feeling that what's the difference between my hobby and my job, and it's easy to do like the extra hour, sometimes more and more, because if oh well, I'm learning and I enjoy learning
and
it and
it's
I'm doing and
fun.
it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
fun. It is fun. That was a home office problem as well because back in the day I would leave the office and I'm done, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
I found that too.
so
It's
now
very
just
easy.
you
Yeah.
just walk up one floor and then there you go. It's
Yeah.
difficult.
If I have to, even yesterday, I was like drying myself away from my computer because I had found there's a problem I'm trying to solve at work, and I hadn't seen like any blogs about it or anything, and I like got to it and then realized it wasn't going to be scalable, which is fine, right? That's part of the whole discovery process.
Yeah,
But I was
sure.
like, okay, you need to turn off the light in your office and leave and shut the door, and that's like my
Mm,
boundary is like when that door is closed, we don't walk back into the room. And for me,
nice.
there's nobody else to take my attention normally on days, right, living by
Mm,
myself. So
mm,
it's
mm,
like easier to justify staying at my computer because nothing
yeah,
else is waiting for me right on the other side of the computer.
yeah, makes sense.
But yeah. So putting in firm boundaries. I'm like, okay, gotta get off by this time.
Yeah.
Then I'll be okay.
It's yeah. I mean, that's a great. I mean, so the door's closed. I'm not going to go back in until whatever tomorrow. It's great. I mean, my original idea was I have these like lights and you can put them on timers, of course,
Yes,
right? So I was
yes.
like, okay, cool. And this was back when I was working evenings because what I did at the height of the pandemic when the schools were closed. I was doing this the homeschooling during the
Mhm.
day, and then I would start work around about normally 7 o'clock in the evening, and I would work like right through like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So I timed all my lights on my desk just to go off at
Yes.
whatever, like when I was 3:30 or something, because that's like my reminder. But then it got to summer, and it was like I didn't have to do that because it would get light outside, and I was like, the sun's rising, it's time for bed.
You have that indicator though. An old colleague of mine said she did something similar, and she would have the lights staggered at certain times. So by 8 p.m. she needed to be out of her office because there would be no more light in the office. And I was like, that's actually a pretty good idea too.
That is a cool idea. And I have this image in my head now of this quite a big office, and the only lights that are gradually left on are the ones that like lead to the exit.
Ooh, that's a good one. I was thinking like right over you because you can see it from a distance, like starting
That as well, yeah. But that's like, it feels like a darkness kind of coming in, like something from a horror film. Like, it's like,
I used to, before like one of my first jobs, I used to work a night shift. And so I'd work roughly like 1 p.m. to 3 a.m. And the only people who would end up being left on like the site was security. And so there were nights where I'd be working, at my computer, like once I came out of the lab, and the lights would just shut off. And you kind of like panic internally, but you're like, oh, it's on a timer, and you just wave your arms. Yeah. Good times.
Lights on, yeah, good times, right? Lights on time. I forgot about those. I remember working in offices when they have like lights on timers, and like I think the company that I currently work for, I could be wrong, some company that I work for had lights on timers like in the bathrooms, which was like the worst idea.
It's the worst.
Sitting there like an idiot on the toilet,
like who was I talking to? Oh, I went out with a friend of mine for her birthday, and she said that she had that recently happen to her, where it was like she was in a stall and the lights went out, and she's like, what do you do at that point?
Yeah.
You can't see anything.
It's ridiculous, right?
Do you wait for somebody to come? Do you like try and fish your phone out and then like dump it in the toilet? Like there's so many possibilities here. You try to like waddle out of the stall as fast as possible. I don't know.
All of those options make you look like a bit strange if someone else walks in. They're like, "Do you want the toilet in the dark?" Or like, if you have your torch on your mobile, you're like, "Are you just sitting there with your torch on the toilet?" That's weird.
Feel like you don't understand what I just had to go through. Someday we'll be faced with that kind of reckoning, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Have to throw out a poll. What have you done when the lights have gone off in the bathroom in a public place? What's
yeah, this is it's such a normal question to be asking someone. So, not power automate or anything about toilets and a public bathroom. My God. My wife actually just got a new job because she learned Power Automate, by the way, which is very cool. So
congrats to her. It's life changing. Definitely be life changing.
She's really happy, and it's really cool. So I'm looking forward to getting started. This of course brings us back to Power Automate. I don't use Power Automate as much as I should, I used to use it quite a lot. I created some like flows to get data from like APIs and stuff, store the data. And I loved it when the Power Automate visual came into Power BI. That was very cool because it was just the ability to kind of use these flows and stuff. But I recently set one up for really simple stuff because I forget. I was like, there didn't used to be a program called, or isn't there still a program called like if this then that? And I was like, well, just use Power Automate because you literally have a license. And it was like so stupid. It was like when my video was posted on YouTube, post about it on LinkedIn, post about it on Twitter. I mean, like really like basic stuff.
But that's not dumb. Like that's efficiency right there, right?
Just laziness, yeah.
You know what? I say it just automate like the important things so you can do other things, and that other can be anything else, right? It could be you sitting on the toilet with your torch in the dark. More time to do that. You have more time to panic. I don't know. Make a cup of coffee. It's whatever you want to do with that extra time. Focus on something else. So as long as it delivers value to you, you can also spend 8 hours automating something that's going to take you 5 minutes to do manually, but not something from experience or anything.
But it's exactly it's what you learn on the journey, right?
Yeah. Hey, I use that on the daily. I've had simple flows for myself. At my last job, it was remind myself to turn in my timesheet on Fridays or expense reports. But put it on a loop. It would come on just simple things, because then this brain to remember to do it. So I find things like that very helpful for myself. It's just like having to me, it's kind of like having calendar invites too. Like I put everything in my calendar. It's there somewhere, and then it just tells me when I need to go do the thing. And I'm cool with that too. Just frees up brain power. Slash our memories aren't very good, so we should probably be using it more.
This is why we always say, like, I'll just Google it. It's like, how do you do this? I can't remember this thing that you've been doing daily for like 5 years. Like, how do you do it? I don't know. I'll just Google it because I can't remember. It's just, that's kind of stupidity. Well, not stupidity. That kind of memory lapses, should I say?
Yeah. We have knowledge of plenty of other things. So if some of the daily menial tasks escape us, that's what Google is for. It's fine.
I feel like I could remember more if I decided or made an effort to get rid of some of the like the lines or the script from like Friends that hasn't been on the air since like from like 2002. I don't know, but they are there forever, and they will never go away.
You'll never
so
go.
I can't learn things.
On lyrics that you've memorized since the dawn of time. Why do I still have Spice Girls lyrics in my head? Dunno.
Yeah,
they were great, but
I
haven't listened to their music in quite some time. It's okay.
Maybe you should. Maybe that's the problem. You got to listen to like Wannabe. And
you know what? You're right. I'm going to go back to childhood and do that. Yeah.
It's very important.
It is. I wanted to go see Backstreet Boys on tour because I know they had paused their tour during the pandemic, and then I didn't get to see them. So
that was upsetting. Yeah, Backstreet Boys would be cool. They're definitely high on my list of music that I don't mind being mocked for thinking is awesome. I'm sorry, but there's Backstreet Boys is.
It was the time everybody loved Backstreet Boys or the Spice Girls. I remember, like when I was like 9 or so, in the 4th grade, there was a guy that I had a crush on, and he had tickets to go see the Spice Girls. But my mom, being right at 9, my mom was like, "I think that's a little too adult for you," and I've never forgiven her for it.
Yeah,
I could have been holding hands with Robert, and we could have been singing Spice World together, but.
Oh man, I think the only did you have in the US? Did you have All Saints? You know this band?
All Saints.
No, maybe like it's more like a UK band. They were kind of, I think they were around about like the same time as the Spice Girls ish. I could be wrong, but they were kind of like, I don't know. I think they kind of pitched themselves as a big like not as poppy, but like they covered like Under the Bridge, all that kind of stuff, you know. But I went to see them in concert. It was definitely the worst show I've been in my entire life. I went there because I was like doing, yeah. It was good fun, of course, because that's what it's meant to be, good fun. But I was doing my GCSEs, kind of like whatever, some kind of, I'm not sure what the US equivalent is there. And my friend was like, "Do you want to get some tickets and just go?" Because we were sick of studying, so we just went, and it was good fun. So I'm awesome.
Interesting. I'm looking at them.
Yeah.
They disbanded in 2014, apparently a few times actually, and then
I was going to say 2014. Wow.
Yeah, they take a couple of years off every so often, but it says they got back together for a UK tour of the Backstreet Boys.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. It comes full circle.
Yeah. I love when that happens. It rounds itself off so nicely, I can't even remember what the original point of the conversation was. The sound I'm talking about.
I don't either. I guess it really doesn't matter at this. We were talking about Power Automate and your wife's job, and somehow.
Yeah, and it went there.
We would have more room to remember things if we didn't remember lyrics.
You've got a very good memory. There's no way I could have done that.
Very good short-term memory.
Okay, good. I'll take
maybe that. Just like in the last 15 minutes. Anything prior to that, it's gone.
That's fair enough. Where does your Twitter name come from, by the way? That was a really random question, but it's just been sitting in my head for a while now. I know, obviously, Mac.
Like a Mac, so Azure McFarlane, and so mac and cheese. There you go. No, nothing revolutionary.
I'm so stupid. I never thought about that. Mac and cheese. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I thought about changing it, especially now being on the internet more and just not for me finding stupid videos. But I like, oh, I don't want to put my name, so I guess we're just gonna keep it a mac and cheese. It's not Power Platform related. It's not anything related. It just is.
I think it's certainly one of the more interesting names, so you definitely shouldn't change it. I think
we're gonna leave it.
Bernard, who's in the chat here, I've measured him a couple of times of frustration because there's like on YouTube like at least like 3 Power BI guys. I'm like, I should change it. This sucks. There's too many of us. And then I'm like, yeah, I can't be bothered. Whatever. Like what's it?
One? So which Power BI guy? Which one are you? 1, 2, 3.
I'm just Power BI guy, and then there's also the Power BI guy, and I think there's like another one. But like it's not like if I changed it, it would suddenly lead to fame, success, and 25,000 subscribers. I'm like, I don't care enough. So
yeah, that's yeah. Fame is not my goal. Fame seems like a lot of work. So
it seems very difficult.
Yeah,
a lot of
I'm like, oh, I have a small Twitter following, and I just talk about random junk on top of Power Platform, and that's all the audience that I need. I didn't even need that. Let's be honest.
Need it, but you deserve it. You deserve that fantastic audience.
I feel like she's talking about what now?
Yeah. A point I was going to make about 5 minutes ago, which just popped back into my head. When I say things like, oh, I'll take a tool that I use frequently, like Power Query, and I'll be like, yeah, it's great. Automation is fantastic because obviously you're taking processes, and you mentioned yourself copying and pasting. You have to copy and paste because copying and pasting is like the worst job in the world. And if any process contains copying and pasting, it should immediately just be gotten rid of and improved with some automation tool. But when I think of Power Automate, I meant Power Query. But first I was talking about Power Query. But when I think about Power Automate, I'll say things like, oh yeah, I'll like create this flow so that I don't do it myself because I'm lazy. Which is a stupid thing to say because I'm literally saying all the time that you should use these things to make it so much more efficient, and so I don't have to do it. But for some reason, I think, yeah, I should just write this tweet myself. Why? Why should I write an identical tweet like twice a week? It seems like too much.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, I'm thinking about doing something for one of the groups that I participate in because every month it's somebody's manually posting things to LinkedIn and Twitter. Like we could just very easily, even if you didn't have a premium license, you can create a SharePoint list and have some fields, drop everything you need, and have it post to Twitter. So just I think it's fun too. And then if you ever decide if you want to go back to doing it by hand, then have fun with that.
Yeah. I mean, I would never ever do that. It's like I've made it really easy for myself. I will now make it slightly harder for no apparent reason.
Yes, I will make that's something that I do on the regular. I'm like, you could just make your life easier if you were to just do X. I do that way too frequently.
Yeah.
Apart from things that automation cannot take care of.
It's very upsetting when you realize that this is a limit. It's like, oh, you can't do that? This is upsetting.
Yeah, like why can't you?
Yeah.
I thought you could do everything for me.
I'm going to email Microsoft and please just make this possible as well so I don't have to do
anything. I know a few people who work there. They are now going to be my channel to everything. They're like, I don't even work in this department. That's fine. Take my suggestions to wherever they need to go.
Oh, man. Are there any, because obviously, your Power Automate knowledge being as awesome as it is, are there any, restrictions or that you encounter quite frequently that you wish or you don't understand? Why is that a limitation? Why does that exist?
I mean,
or you're so awesome at it, you're just like, I can do anything.
No, I mean, there's a few features that I think are consistently talked about. Things like the expression box in Power Automate can be a little bit tiny, but then once you go to experimental mode, then you lose some functionality there. So I know some people are going to be like, what the heck is she talking about? But some of the stuff is like experimental mode for Power Automate has been in preview instead of GA for probably 3+ years now.
Wow.
So some of the features are when are they actually going to be available for wider use? I'd say that's when, and then depending, honestly, sometimes how like your organization's like data loss prevention policies are set up, you don't know going into the, like flow editor, what's available for use and what's not. And so like, for example, I was building in a client's tenant yesterday and went to put like the connectors themselves were unblocked, but I couldn't see the policy that prevented me from using a non-business and a business connector together until I actually put it in the flow, and then I got an error message, and then I couldn't even save it. So I think it depends. Some things are a little bit more tricky to figure out, maybe from like a business perspective. But yeah, you don't know until you start building something, or sometimes until you actually test the flow out, and then you'll get an error that says, "Oh, this violates, some policy." And you're like, "Well, it would have been nice to know that before I built the thing or had the idea for it."
Yeah, it's like surprise.
Surprise! Can't do anything anymore. That's cool. That's fine. I also think if anybody's listening from Microsoft, that Excel connector, can we please fix that? Because Excel is problematic, but I get it. It's needed. A friend of mine reached out to me yesterday from a different company. She's like, "Hey, you see this email?" And she sent me a screenshot of this email. It was yesterday's date, like twice in the same format. She's like, "Flo's telling me that these aren't the same date." I was like,
"What?"
Stick it in a compose step, and she did, and like it it was fine. I was like, sometimes you have to trick Flo into thinking things, because I don't know, I ran into the same thing yesterday working with like some output of like a parse JSON step, and Flo was like, "This is not an array," and I was like, "It very clearly is." I stuck it in a compose step and it worked. So I don't know if
that's a cool tip.
Stick it, compose will be your friend.
Stick it in a what's it called again?
A compose step. So it's a data operation action where it like you feed things into it and it comes out. So if you want to say you have a workflow with let's say you're going to be sending an email, but depending on maybe the criteria, maybe there's 3 different paths that the email could take. Like you want to send an email, if today is Monday, you want to send a Monday version of the email. If it's Wednesday, you want to send a different version. Instead of creating like 3 different email action steps, you could in a compose box or a compose step, like format everything that you want to, and then just stick the outputs into the email. Even better, you could, you could also up that too and make it a little bit more comprehensive. But if you like the email steps, use HTML. You can format in HTML, like write it out in actual code, and then when the email sends, it'll come out in there. But it's just an input-output box. If you were to format that in Markdown and stick it in an email step that uses HTML, then you're going to get all the Markdown code. It's gibberish. So it really is just like a feed it an input, get an output. You can do calculations in it, formatting, expressions, all this stuff. It's really like a nice container for things.
Container for things.
It's a container for things. It's a container for things. Yeah.
That should be what if you put on like a hover over and explains what it is.
It's a container for things. You're gonna be like, what do I put in it? Toothpaste?
Love it.
Not.
Thanks. Just try and put things in it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, try something else. This is how we learn, right?
Yeah. No, exactly. I appreciate compose a lot. It makes things.
This comment from Jeff is quite accurate though about the great Excel date memes out there. This is a good point. It's Excel and dates are not best friends.
No.
I mean, to someone like me. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong, but everyone has the same issue. You put in like a thing, and it's like, what is this like?
What is
1900 or whatever? Yeah.
What is this? Yeah. Have you seen the Excel dress? Oh, I have to find this.
Excel dress.
There's an Excel dress that actually has a dress that has like the Excel logo on it and like some cells and everything. Yeah.
I'm obviously Googling it right now. That's pretty cool.
If I find it after the show, I'll be sure to. There was a tweet that came out with like a woman. I think she might have worn it to a conference or something, or maybe it was some like international like geeky event. And
pretty cool. Yeah. I'm going to post a link in case this is the one that you're talking about.
Okay, please. Yeah, please do. I would love to buy one, and maybe that is my next step. I don't own really any like Power Platform swag. I've got a single Power Apps t-shirt. And that's it. Let's see.
That is, I mean, this is okay. I'm not a big swag person, to be honest. I know it's quite cool to own stuff. I did buy something today. Oh, actually, it's not true. I got something delivered today, which I really like, and this is this
Okay, so
on
I
Twitter.
just
Hmm?
love that Jeff's link about the Excel distracted
Oh,
boyfriend meme, and this is great.
oh, that's awesome. That is
That is
very cool.
fantastic. Thanks,
That
Jeff.
is that is very good, Jeff. I gotta say. Can I share that
That's
screen? Maybe 1 second. See if I can do
hilarious.
a quick screen share.
Yes, quick screen share. It's that, yeah, distracted boyfriend, but made out of cells in Excel, and they're all colored in.
Oh, 1 second. Is it gonna work? There you go.
That's the one.
That's very cool. Oops,
Love it.
Ella. That's
That
love
is
it.
okay. So you dropped this Excel dress, and there's a different one.
Oh, is there different? Is there even better one?
Yeah,
Okay.
apparently there's different ones, but I like that one too. Ooh, that one looks kind of summery. It's just like
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
okay.
good.
Maybe there's a whole line of like Microsoft apparel that I really don't know about. This is an untapped market, not just like a Microsoft logo. It is, what product are you? This should be a BuzzFeed quiz about what Microsoft product are you? And then here's a link to buy the clothing to get
Yeah.
it.
Can you imagine you got something terrible though? You got something like, I don't know. What's terrible? There's quite a lot of them. I'm not, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
You,
I think of Access on Prem as like
yeah.
like that's a little bit older. Maybe what if you were that? What if you were
Yeah.
not in the cloud? What if you were not in the
Yeah, maybe that's they reserve that if you overstate. Yet you got to type in your age. It's the first thing that you do, and every other question after that, it doesn't really matter. They just randomize things that are, if like for me, for example, I'm turning 40 soon, so anything that's kind of age appropriate, anything that's not in the cloud, that's for me, right? Because I remember those days beforehand.
Oh.
I would happily be DOS, by the way, because MS DOS was amazing. Could that be one?
MS, yeah, that could be one. I remember my first word processor, baby's first
Yeah,
word processor. Yeah, and it was
yeah,
like a black screen with yellow letters, and it had the
amazing.
printer paper with the things on the side that you like
Oh, like
peel
the
them.
dot matrix printers, right?
Yeah,
Oh
yep,
my
yep,
god, yeah. Oh, they were
yep.
horrible.
One of those.
A room full of those printing simultaneously was an absolute hellhole. There's dot matrix printers constantly. I used to really scare my parents when I was a kid because I used to when we had our first computers, like like whatever they were, 286s, 386s, all that kind of stuff. I used to like buy like secondhand ones and just like do as much as I could. And actually, parents made me because I kept breaking their computer so much, just like by messing around with them. And I realized I could write batch files, and that so when my computer started, it didn't just go straight to Windows. It said a message before it went to Windows. And my favorite one when the computer was like, there is an error. Press the spacebar to continue. And as soon as you press the spacebar, it said your hard drive will now be deleted. And it like obviously didn't delete the hard drive, but it scared the crap out of my parents. And they made me like, no, not anymore. You got to have your own computers now.
Gosh, you were a geek from such a young age.
I'm so proud, Jessica.
Yeah. I don't think I definitely was not that smart. I actually did delete Windows off of a school computer in the 5th grade, you know. Yeah. I
They
don't
should have
remember
had
how.
more rigorous admin settings. It's their own fault,
Actually,
right?
you are not wrong. It wasn't my fault. It was not
No.
my fault. Yeah.
I'm going to write to your head teacher or principal and I'll remind them this was
I
not
never
Azure's
never
fault.
admitted it. It's not my fault. You should have had better measures in place to prevent me from doing that. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
You
Yep.
didn't correctly contain my awesome power. Therefore, it's on you. This is what you should have said. No?
I never thought I would ever go into computer stuff either. I just liked it at the time. And then after, I guess, like GeoCities kind of went by the wayside, at least for me, like not building them anymore. MySpace kind of
Yeah.
just left. And I never really considered it.
And they've left you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I'd maintained my nerdiness through all of my. I had like a 10-year gap, maybe a bit longer, where I wasn't, and I feel like I lost 10 years of information and knowledge or ability. You
That's what
know?
Google's for.
Yeah, this is true. Do you know C Sharp? Do you know Python? Do you know? I'm like, yes. If
Yeah.
Googling counts
If
as knowing.
yeah. Yes. Yes, it counts. You do know it. You know it. Just walk in there confidently and be like, I know it, and then you Google.
And this is the thing that I maintain, though, that every single skill set that you give, if you're going to rank them, though I don't like when people rank the skill sets, it's weird. Like on a CP, when people rank the skill sets, it really freaks me out. It's like, and you see them on the templates, and it's like, knowledge abilities. Like for me, for example, I would say Power BI, whatever, 10 out of 10. It's not, but let's pick a number. Like Power Query, like 8. I'm like, what's that ranked against? That doesn't
What
make
is
any
it? Yeah.
sense.
So we were trying to do that internally at my company, to like beef up, like consultant profiles. And I was like, but how are we ranking this? I feel like if there's a scale from 1 to 5, I don't feel like I'm a 5.
Mm,
I would rank myself lower, but also like what qualifies as a 1 and what qualifies as a 5, like
mm,
within knowing Power Automate. Like if knowledge of connectors and actions are like 1,
mm.
then what do you put 5 as? Because you wouldn't work with every single connector that's available. Like you won't
No,
know
no,
everything.
of course, no, it's not possible.
So I was like, if it's based off of that, then it's nothing. But do you need me to
Mm,
derive an expression? How complex of a build do you want? Right? Like where does that sit? So I get it. It's kind of like an arbitrary
yeah.
like way to rank things unless you're giving specific examples of like you should be able to accomplish this by 3 or 4
Yeah.
or
If it's like how am I able to perform my daily functions at work, or if you're applying for a job, how do I feel I can perform the functions that you've written on your what's it called, job advert thing? Good English from me there.
I know
You
what you're
know,
saying. It's cool, man.
right? Exactly. As long as we can understand this is fine. Yeah, but this is actually what Bernard just wrote as well. Ranking should. Well, actually, this is also interesting for me. So, ranking should come from the people around you. Kind of, yes, that does make more sense. On a CV, you can't do that. You just shouldn't do it. I mean, for me, it makes no sense on a CV anyway. Ranking should come from around you. The one thing I thought that was not frustrating, but I'm not awkward, let's just say, about that. I worked for a company, and what I'm about to say sounds like big-headed, not intentionally in that way, but it was like, Power BI knowledge. And in that department, it was kind of generally agreed that my knowledge of Power BI was probably the best in that team. It was just
Mm-hmm.
so they said, okay, what's your Power BI skills on a scale of 1 through 5? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, what am I judging myself against? Am I judging myself from like someone from like Guy in the Cube? And it's like 1. And they're like, someone said, and someone was like, well, okay, Ben, no, you're a 5. I'm like, okay, thank you, I appreciated that. But then everyone else then proceeded to rank themselves against the 5 that they just assigned to me, and I was like, this is just massively like awkward, this situation. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. We've
Rankings
got
are
to.
strange.
Yeah, rankings are strange. Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Don't know how we got there. As usual, I don't know how we got there. We just spoke, words came out of my mouth, and that's where we end up.
That's fine. That's words. Isn't it? Is it Cards Against Humanity that has an answer that's just like words, words, words? And I was like, that's pretty. Like
Yeah.
that's fine.
This brings back the previous or the latest episode of this Cloud Conversations that you did. Is this the one that was just you and Peter? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
That
we
was a
did.
great episode. It was
The
so like we don't really know what we want to talk about today, but we're going to chat anyway. And it was such a nice conversation. It was like two people who were just enjoying having the conversation, and
we had a great time. We really
I can
did.
imagine it was
Yeah,
really cool.
we had inadvertently taken a little bit of a summer break, and I get it. People are busy, they're on vacation, things come up, and our format with the podcast is really flexible. So when we have time, right, and when the guests have
Mm.
time, that's when we, do shows. And sometimes that could end up being we're doing 4 recordings in a week and then,
Oh,
queue
wow,
them
okay.
up.
Mm.
Or it could be that we don't have anybody for a couple weeks, and in this case we
Mm.
both had people lined up, but they needed to take some time, whatever the case is, which is fine with us. So we're like, let's just
Mm.
do a off the cuff kind of thing. And really we went in with no intentions whatsoever. There wasn't any tech talk whatsoever, really, except for I think me talking about my new toy of portable monitors.
Right.
But
Very cool, by
other,
the way.
thank you. They've
Yeah.
come in very handy. Papa Cloud loved them. He almost didn't give them back. Like, sir, you cannot keep these. I need them.
You got a
But
birthday
yeah,
present sorted, right? No.
we can talk.
Oh.
He and I can have a conversation about it. He works mainly from home and then goes into the office. He goes into the office like 2 days a week, so he doesn't necessarily need them.
Yeah. Okay.
But maybe one
I
day.
think
But
doesn't
yeah,
need them probably describes about 90% of the tech that's on my desk, to be honest. But yeah, that's a good point.
that's okay. That is okay. Like me, I actually will work outside of the house, or traveling to a conference or to a client. I'm like, I need more real estate. But yeah, that was just a really great episode for us to have some laughs and see what cockamamie things we could come up with in an hour and a half.
Exactly.
So
It's really nice.
yeah.
I mentioned this before we start. The thing that happens quite often when I do these chats is that I'll speak to the person like in the room before we go live, in the studio or whatever. And it's like, as we did, let's just stop talking because this would be a good conversation for the live stream. It happens so often. And it
We do
happens.
that a lot too.
Yeah. And then you stop. Okay, we'll stop recording now. And then you continue the conversation. Like, why
Yes.
did you stop recording? It's like, what?
Honestly, I feel like from the moment you walk in the room, you should start recording, and then you can still keep recording after you go off, and then you just put that stuff in as bonus content if you want to, or not.
It's a good idea. And you can also do the sound checks as well as part of the stream. It's like, okay, we're just doing the sound check now. Give us a couple minutes and just like chat as you're doing the sound check, just so you don't miss any of that preview content.
Yeah, that could be your new intro. It's just 3 minutes of
Yeah.
people fiddling with their computers. Because it happens every time. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Every single time. So yeah, that's even when we do the podcast, it's the same kind of ordeal too. There's always something going on.
Has to happen. Has to. I did. I used to have another project do about like amateur football here in Berlin, and we were recording a podcast, and it was like very like when I had like 10% of the knowledge that I had now. Just like 4 people sit in the room. Let's record a podcast because it's been if you put 4 guys in the room, a podcast immediately appears. So it's like a strange seance, like 4 guys.
Yes, 4 guys sitting around a microphone,
and a microphone just like appears at the table, like. Oh, I'm not sure.
We have to start a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Who's it? I've read someone tweet. So if you want 2 guys to have a heart-to-heart conversation, just sitting down and tell it's a podcast. I think it was like a BJ Novak tweet.
That does sound something like BJ Novak would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, but it's great. But the guy who you do Peter Rising, is it correct? Peter Rising, it's called.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
He's called, sorry. He's from the same area as me. I mentioned this before. We're from like I'm from like I always say I'm from Newcastle. This is complete as a lie. I'm from a small town on the coast that no one's heard of, so I call it Newcastle. And he's from Durham, I believe. This is not private information. It's like right there on his LinkedIn profile. I'm not giving away something strange and secret.
But people are going to start doxing him now, Ben. Shame.
Yeah, I know. I feel a deep sense of shame running within me. I promise. But it's one of those strange things. Maybe it's because I'm not sure. I'm from quite a small town, or the northeast of England is kind of feel quite isolated because of social, economic, historical reasons, all that kind of stuff. But when I hear someone with a Geordie accent, I'm always like, "Oh, that person's from where I'm from." Like there's only like 10 of us. It's like, yeah,
You'll get membership T-shirts for the area from where you're from.
Back in the day when Big Brother still exists, I'm not sure if it still does. The guy who did the voiceover, like the narration on the Big Brother in the UK, was actually from roughly the same region.
Oh.
And it was so annoying. I mean, it is quite nice, but it was so annoying. You'd go somewhere, and someone would walk up to you, "Day 5 in the Big Brother house." I'm like, shut up.
I was like, "Oh, that's really nice." People walk up to you and be like, "Big, I know who that is," and then no, it's just they're being annoying. Got it.
Maybe I was being too grumpy. Yeah, Big Brother put us on the map, right?
Big Brother did put you on the map. It still exists. It's just taking a form. I don't watch it, but there's a podcast that I listen to where they do like show recaps or TV show recaps every once in a while. And they were recently talking about Big Brother and something like their like late 20 something season, I want to say. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
this has been on for a really long time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it. But also, isn't American Idol still on the air or something? Or
Probably. There are some TV shows I'm scared that they'll outlive me. Like, I don't want to be outlived by Grey's Anatomy, for example.
you might not have a choice.
Yeah, I think I don't. I think this is just like there. It's
I haven't watched in years. I really liked it as like a teenager in high school because at one point I wanted to be a doctor. And so my best friend and I really loved watching Grey's Anatomy. And then to hear it still on the air, I don't
yeah.
know. I feel like after a certain amount of time and a certain amount of seasons, things just don't really work anymore. I'm a big fan of things that are like 4 seasons or less.
Yeah.
And then
Completely
because after
agree.
a while you can tell like the writers are getting bored, that
Yeah.
the storylines just really aren't anything
I,
anymore. They're just kind of throwing things in there just for the sake of doing it.
yeah. I mean, I used to. I mean, I used to really enjoy watching Grey's Anatomy. To be honest, it was like back in the day, like with Izzy and that dude who they killed because right. I mean, I'm not going to go into storyline because it was so ridiculous. But I will walk into a room now where my wife is watching Grey's Anatomy and it's like season whatever it is 17, and I'll just ask her who's having sex with who and who's dead. This is
Yes,
like
important questions. That's really all
just
it is now.
yeah. And then I was thinking about it, and when you look Neighbours, this is a good point. I'll keep on. I'll come back to Neighbours in a second. But I forgot my point. Yeah, I was thinking about the characters, and I was like, wait a second. At some point, did someone think that the characters' nicknames McDreamy and McSteamy were clever or funny or good? Like, how were those McDreamy and McSteamy? Like, come on, man. I don't even know where that came from. This is very strange.
No, didn't that come from the residents like crushing on McDreamy and McSteamy? I think
Yeah,
that's where it came from.
but I want to know why Muck. Why is it Muck Steamy? Why
Oh,
Muck Dreamy? Why not just Steamy Dreamy? I never thought I'd ask that
asking the real
question.
questions here. We might have to contact ABC.
Who?
Nobody ever questioned it. The at least over here, the broadcasting company that runs Grey's Anatomy is
Ah,
ABC.
ABC. Okay, yeah. I thought there was
Sorry.
like I thought you said Amy C, and I was like, who's Amy C? And I was like, isn't there someone called Shonda who writes it or something? Yeah, okay,
Does
ABC.
Shonda write Grey's Anatomy? Hold up. Did I not know this?
I'm probably really
Yeah,
wrong.
actually, yeah, she did create it, and she does do good stuff. But at 19 seasons, 19 is a very. I wonder if she's still writing or producing
She's
for.
probably like an executive producer, but after it
Yeah,
you get to your executive producer days. It's like, yeah, just give me the money. I'm not doing anything, but just send
yeah,
it to
yeah, yeah,
me.
yeah. Just give
Earned
me the
it.
check. That's it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Shonda does write some pretty good stuff that I need to at some point catch up with. So
True.
she had a hand in Bridgerton as well, which I thought was really nicely done. I enjoyed that.
I've heard good things, but I haven't seen it. But she wrote Inventing Anna, which I watched recently, which was pretty good.
Oh,
Um,
that explains why I've heard good reviews. I am not great at pop culture, I'll put it that way. Like
okay.
there is a long list of TV shows it's not even like a physical list anymore. It's just a mental list because we know it, I'm going to lose it to song lyrics anyway. Uh, but when I hear things
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, that's good," so I have to go shows based off of recommendation at this point because I know I'm never going to
Mm.
catch up with said list at all.
No. No.
And watching TV by myself, I get really distracted anyway. So I tend to do shows that are very like short
Yeah.
in length, like 20-minute episodes. Like right now, I'm really loving Only Murders in the Building with Steve Martin and Martin Short.
This is fantastic. I love it. Yeah.
It's great. And me and my colleague, we had like a 10-minute call today to be like, did you see last night's episode? Who done it? And we have no idea. But yeah, it's either things that are very short or I have to typically watch them in like a foreign language so I can read subtitles and I have to pay attention.
Yeah. That's actually it's a decent trick. But I enjoy watching things that are not in English for sure. But I find, as you say yourself, I'm normally doing something else as I watch. So I didn't watch anything with subs for so long because obviously I can't read them. So when my family away, I was like, okay, let's just catch up on all the subtitle stuff, and I watched some. It's pretty nice stuff. It's a couple of Dutch sitcoms or whatever. I'm just there's a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. You get exposed to like other things that you typically wouldn't. There's one of my favorite movies is A Man Called Of, and it's a book written by I think the author is American, Frederick Bachman. He also writes a book called Anxious People. Both are very good. But I saw the movie and it was produced by like an indie filmmaking company, but it was all in Swedish and it was the best,
Yeah.
absolutely the best. If you need like a heartwarming film with really no plot that'll make you laugh and
Okay.
cry, that one's it.
Cool.
So,
Thank you. I'll
and
check
then
out. I've just Googled it.
yeah, I watched the movie first, not knowing that there was a book, and I've been reading the book, and I thoroughly enjoy this author's writing style too. So very,
Nice.
very good. I think they did a very good job with the movie. Like after having read at least a portion of the book, I was like, they really did a great job. But anyway,
Nice.
that's
It's always good when that
a
happens.
movie
To kind of
recommendation.
like, yeah, I appreciate it. I think wasn't it?
Not the Tom Hanks version. Apparently, there's two versions. Not the Tom Hanks
Okay.
version. Yeah.
Oh, no, it reminded me because you mentioned it was Swedish, and there was a film, and I think there was a film which is based in Brooklyn called "The Man Who Crawled Out of a Window." It's called "The Man Who Climbed Out the Window and Disappeared." Also, Swedish author. I think a Swedish film. Kind of very funny. So it was really enjoyed it. That would be my recommendation back to
Okay.
you. Just kind of
Ooh.
like, but yeah.
This is highly
That's
rated
it.
online. Yeah, Goodreads. Okay.
Check it
Oh,
out.
cool. I
Yeah.
like this.
Let me know what you think, mate. Let me know what you think.
Will do.
Jeff
Will
likes
do.
it. Jeff is agreeing. Fantastic. I like it so much.
Cool.
That it count as a double recommendation.
Yes,
Cool.
I love it.
We've been speaking for a lot longer than I planned. I do apologize. I'm sorry. I told you like
Cool.
45 minutes. We've gone like
Okay.
half an hour beyond that, I think.
That works. It was a nice brain break from
Good.
today from work. So thank you for having me. This was
No.
great.
No, thank you for again. I'll say I apologize for the time I cancelled on you. You know what happened actually? I said, by the way, I love the way that you're really kind of into taking care of yourself and listening to your body and
I
stuff.
cry.
Yeah, I have to admit that the last time was my own fault because I got the doctor and I completely forgot. I got an injection against like tetanus and like 3 other things. Forgot I had it, and then the next 2 days, I felt like arse.
Yeah.
Um, that's why, and I was like, why am I so sick? I was like, I was giving myself corona tests. I was like, no, I'm fine. See, and then my wife's like, didn't you have like an injection? I was like, oh,
You had a couple.
yeah,
So yeah. No, I'm glad that you decided to take care of you, because I understand in a way we almost feel like, oh, we're doing these activities to be with people. It's community. And then when you have to cancel on a person and like knowing that they have
yeah,
other things, right? But I think at the end of the day is that you are doing this show because you enjoy it. You're
exactly.
not doing it out of like obligation or anything. So when you need to take a break, like take a break.
Yeah.
People will still be here to watch and listen after the fact.
Yeah, and it's so important to remember that one part that I do it because I enjoy it. And
Yeah.
if you forget that very important part, and when it starts to feel like an obligation, it
Yes.
quickly just disappears because it's just.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've learned, I would say maybe over the course of the pandemic, maybe actually just a little bit before, because I was the kind of person who would just like say yes to everything and go, go,
yeah,
go,
yeah,
go, go.
yeah.
And then stumbled across that I'm least part of an introvert, and it didn't make any sense to me that I would say yes and then feel like agitated or like I don't want to go hang out, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, and now I realize that that's my ticket to be like, okay, time to dial the nozzle back a little bit if we get to that point. And I try not to even get to that point. It's being active about like scheduling, trying to schedule like self-care, leaving like a weekend in my calendar open with nothing planned. But if the weekend appears and somebody wants to go out, like, sure, maybe we'll do something. But yeah, it's being intentional about it. I think it's easy for us, especially because we love what we do, to always like say yes and commit and go, go, go. But it is very important to rest too. So I'm glad
It is.
all that to say, I'm very glad that you just decided to be like, we'll do it another time. And I'm like, that works. What's best for you works for me.
Awesome. Yes, so kind. Much appreciated.
Yeah. That's doctor. I'm not a doctor, but that's my recommendation as
Unofficial doctor.
unofficial doctor. Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. I've taken advice from worse. Don't worry. Oh yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our chat. It was really, really good fun. And maybe at some point in the future, do it again.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Catch up chat,
That sounds good to me. Want to make sure that you have enough time to like let your hair down and be shirtless in front of your fan now too.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I'll do that. Yeah, sure. And maybe when we do it, we'll do a next chat. We can do it in the winter time, so I can have my hair down there. Keep the warmth in.
To keep it in. Yeah. Like this is seasonal kind of engagement.
Love it. Okay. Everyone who was in the chat with the comments and just chatting away, thank you so much. Always appreciate you being here. And I shall be back next Thursday before I take a 2-week break because I'm going on holiday. And thank you, everyone. Take care and goodbye.
Yeah. See y'all.
Don't you wanna have fun?